Good morning, this is TA for Traders and I'm Nigel Croft. In this short video we'll be looking at 5 US stocks, 3 tech stocks and 2 pharma stocks. We'll be starting looking at Apple, where we expect the consolidation to continue going into the figures. We'll move on to Nvidia, where there could be a short-term bounce but the picture still remains bearish. We'll then move into the pharma sector. We're looking at Pacira Pharma, where they've had a convertible bond issue this week. The shares look good. Pfizer, that's been affected by a Donald Trump tweet, where we also think it looks good. And we'll be finishing with Google, where we expect a further move into high ground. So let's start straight away with Apple. The figures are due out early next month, and as you can see, it's having trouble moving into new high ground. We've had obviously a very good move over the last couple of months, but the market went overbought. The RSI moved well into the 90s, and the MACD peaked as well. What we're seeing now is that the RSI is indicative of downside momentum, as is the MACD, and it's just failing to have any upside pressure. At the moment, there's no sellers coming into the stock, which is why we're getting the candles being very narrow. But as we move towards the figures and expectations become uncertain, one should expect the volatility to increase in the stock. There is support obviously at the 20-day moving average. I'm not expecting this gap to be filled in the immediate short term, but certainly for further consolidation. On the longer term chart, you can see that we did have a downtrend through most of last year, which then got broken to the upside. You would expect a flag at best of 6 to 10 weeks, and we've only had 1 week of it so far. So again, expecting further consolidation. And as you can see, actually on this weekly, the RSI is still well overbought, nearly 80 at 78.68. MACD still indicative of positive momentum on this weekly chart, but it's looking stretched because of that RSI. Looking at the support resistance levels, first support comes in at the 20-day moving average, 136.44, and then below there 135.28. There's only the one resistance level, which was the high from last week of 140.28. Moving on to Nvidia. Last week I did a quick story on Nvidia, and I was bearish. I mean, really the picture still remains bearish. However, we may just get a bit of a push up towards the 20-day moving average, as the RSI now is down below 40. But it should be that it's got resistance now on the upside, and one would expect that to hold. I mean, the immediate resistance is at the 20-day at 105.70. That will hold the market. The RSI slightly oversold maybe, but indicative of downside momentum, and the MACD are still negative. So on any short-term rally, in fact we do expect a quick short-term rally, but it won't be sustained. On the longer-term picture, you can see that we've actually gone below the 20-week moving average. That will be a supporting factor as it's still moving upwards. RSI here is again cracked down negative momentum, and the MACD likewise. So a negative picture, medium term negative, short term maybe a bounce, but I'm not infused by that picture at all. Looking at the support resistance levels, we've got the resistance at the 20-day 105.7, and then at 111.8, with the support at 95.17, and the second support at 87.54. Pacira Pharma had a convertible bond issue earlier this week. It was a $300 million deal. You can see that it has affected the share price, but I still feel it's still a positive picture. It left a gap to the upside, which is very good. We've had a slight consolidation. RSI is indicative of positive momentum as well, 63.77. MACD looking good. I would expect this share to push back up towards the previous highs. On the longer term picture, it looks completely different, in that you can see that only 18 months ago this share was above $100. So it's got a lot of recovery to do, and in fact you can see in the RSI this base building picture, and in the MACD this long basin picture. They're both positive, and we are pushing up now, and really one would expect a move above that 200-week moving average, which is presently at 62.3. Really, you'd be expecting the resistances at the 80 level to be tested within a few months, maybe a couple of months. So a very positive picture there from Pacira Pharma. Looking at the support resistance levels, there's resistance at 58.95, 64.90. You can see these are a long way from spot, given the moves in the market that we've had. And then the support comes in at the 20-day 45.04 and 42.65. Sticking with the pharma sector, Donald Trump tweeted about pricing in the pharma sector, and this has affected Pfizer over the week, and you can see that the shares have pulled back. I've drawn this parallel trend line, which the stock has been trading in since October. It just pulled back from the upper boundary, coming back down now towards the support of the 20-day moving average. I would expect it to keep moving, that support to hold, and for it to move back up to the upper boundary in the not too distant future. Also support on lower down from the 50-day. I mean, any move down below the 20-day towards the 50-day, it will soon be absorbed. There's not a lot of selling pressure, and I'd expect the uptrend to stay in place. MACD, a slight concern, a rolling picture there, but just stay with it for the moment. On the longer term weekly, well, you can see, without me drawing it, you can see the upper trend, the trend lines there. It's coming back towards the 50-week moving average, which will give support. RSI still indicative of positive momentum, and actually on the weekly the MACD looked good as well, so a positive picture on the weekly as well. Looking at the support resistance levels, resistance at 34.75 and 35.38, with the supports coming in at the moving averages 33.63 and 32.8. Okay, moving on to the last stock, and we're moving back into the tech sector with Alphabet, Google, and it's moved into a new high, and really I would expect further movements, a break even into new high ground. RSI, not really indicative of positive momentum, but if the stock did move, you'd see that break up as well. Likewise, the MACD would soon break up. I just like it because it's going into blue sky. It's just bounced off the 20-day moving average. It has had a consolidation after a good run, and just feel like it's just ready for the next move. On the weekly picture, you can see it quite clearly. The down, we moved down into the election. We've then had the rally. It's now consolidated again. RSI on the weekly is showing positive, as is the MACD, positive momentum. You would expect a move into new high ground. On the support resistance levels, the only resistance is from yesterday's high, 838.15, and then the support's coming in at the 20-day and the 50-day moving average at 825.37 and 811.81. So this has been TA for traders for Thursday the 9th of March. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be returning in about half an hour with a video on 5 UK stocks. Please remember that the information in these videos is for educational purposes only and just represent my opinions and are not investment recommendations. Please do read the disclaimer. Thank you.